The world watched with bated breath as newsrooms across continents broke into urgent coverage, and families gathered around their televisions, sensing that something significant was unfolding. In a move that sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles, Beijing delivered a chilling warning to the Philippines: stay out of the Taiwan issue, or face the consequences. The message was unmistakable: any gesture of support for Taiwan would be interpreted as a direct challenge to China's most vital interests, a line that Beijing has repeatedly said must not be crossed. This wasn't just diplomatic posturing, it was a stark signal that China's patience is wearing thin, and that the stakes are rising with every passing day. The Philippines, sharing a narrow maritime border with Taiwan and deepening its alliance with the United States, now finds itself squarely in Beijing's crosshairs, caught between two superpowers. China's language, playing with fire, was not just a warning, but a deliberate red line, meant to pressure Manila to reconsider its foreign policy and weigh the risks of its alliances. For millions in the region, this warning transformed what was once a simmering dispute into an immediate and personal threat, sparking anxiety and uncertainty in daily life. The Philippines is now at the center of a geopolitical storm, its every move scrutinized by both allies and adversaries, as leaders debate their next steps and military officials weigh their options. The consequences of defying Beijing could be severe, with the potential to disrupt not just governments, but the lives of ordinary citizens, local businesses, and entire economies already on edge. This is more than a war of words. It's a psychological battle for influence and control in one of the world's most critical and volatile regions, where every gesture is loaded with meaning. The dragon's roar from Beijing echoed far beyond Manila, casting a long shadow and raising a terrifying question: what happens next, and who will bear the cost? The world is watching, holding its breath, as leaders and citizens alike brace for what could be a turning point in regional history. The stakes have never been higher, and the next move could shape the future of the entire Asia-Pacific region. The Philippines' geography is both a blessing and a curse, shaping its destiny for centuries. Its position in the heart of Southeast Asia makes it impossible to ignore the Taiwan crisis, drawing the country into the center of regional tensions. The northernmost Philippine islands, like Batanes, are less than 100 kilometers from Taiwan, separated only by the narrow and strategic Bashi Channel, a vital shipping lane, a lifeline for global trade, and a potential flashpoint in any conflict. The Philippines is a linchpin in the first island chain, serving as a defensive barrier for the US and its allies, and acting as a cage for China's navy, restricting its access to the wider Pacific. Control of islands like Batanes could determine the flow of military power in any conflict, making these remote outposts far more significant than their size suggests. That's why the US has pushed for renewed access to Philippine bases, not out of nostalgia for old alliances but out of necessity, recognizing the strategic value these locations hold in the modern era. For China, a neutral Philippines complicates any plans for Taiwan. An allied Philippines is a major obstacle, potentially blocking Chinese ambitions and forcing Beijing to recalculate its strategy. The country's location means it can't simply stand aside or remain indifferent. Its proximity to flashpoints makes neutrality almost impossible. Every diplomatic move is a matter of national survival, with each negotiation and alliance carrying consequences that ripple far beyond its shores. The Philippines is trapped by geography, surrounded by water, hemmed in by powerful neighbors, unable to move, unable to ignore the shifting tides of regional politics. Its destiny is tied to the turbulent waters that surround it, where every storm and every calm can alter the nation's fate. Each decision carries existential weight, shaping not just the future of the Philippines, but potentially the entire region. The region's future may hinge on what Manila does next, as policymakers weigh their options under the watchful gaze of the world. The world's eyes are fixed on the archipelago, waiting to see how this island nation will navigate the stormy waters of geopolitics. Under President Marcos Jr., the Philippines has pivoted back to the US, expanding the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. 9 US-accessible sites now dot the country, many near Taiwan and the South China Sea. For Washington, these are forward operating bases. For Manila, a deterrent against Chinese aggression. Beijing sees them as offensive threats, accusing the Philippines of stoking tensions and sacrificing autonomy for American interests. This alliance is a calculated risk. It offers security but also makes the Philippines a potential target. Annual joint military exercises grow larger, signaling resolve. Manila hopes this partnership will deter conflict, not provoke it. But China's warnings show the stakes are rising. The Philippines is betting on US support to secure its future. The gamble is real, and the risks are growing. The region holds its breath. Over 150,000 Filipinos live and work in Taiwan, sending vital remittances home. Now, they find themselves on the front line of a geopolitical crisis. Evacuating them in a conflict would be a logistical nightmare, with the Bashi Channel likely a war zone. The Philippine government faces a painful dilemma: protect sovereignty or risk the lives and livelihoods of its own citizens. For these overseas workers, every headline brings anxiety. Will they have to abandon the lives they've built? The economic impact would be immediate and severe, threatening families and the broader economy. China could exploit this vulnerability to pressure Manila. The human cost of conflict is real, measured in disrupted lives and broken families. The crisis is not just about territory, it's about people. The stakes are deeply personal for thousands of Filipino families. Today's tensions in East Asia are deeply rooted in a complex web of overlapping disputes. Chief among them, the status of Taiwan and the contested waters of the South China Sea. These issues have simmered for decades, shaped by history, politics, and shifting alliances. China claims Taiwan as a breakaway province, insisting on eventual reunification. Most countries, including the Philippines, officially recognize the One China principle, acknowledging Beijing's claim, but many still maintain unofficial ties with Taipei, balancing diplomacy and national interests. The South China Sea dispute is even more tangled. China's sweeping nine-dash-line claim covers vast stretches of sea, overlapping with the exclusive economic zones of several Southeast Asian nations. In 2016, an international tribunal ruled in favor of the Philippines, rejecting China's claim as having no legal basis. Despite the ruling, China ignored the decision, rapidly building military outposts and artificial islands on disputed reefs, many of which lie within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, escalating tensions and altering the region's balance of power. These disputes are now converging. China's growing assertiveness in one area fuels anxiety and defensive measures in the other, creating a cycle of mistrust and military posturing across the region. For Manila, China's disregard for international law in the South China Sea serves as a stark warning for Taiwan's future. The Philippines sees its own struggle as part of a broader fight to uphold international norms and protect sovereignty. Defending its rights in the West Philippine Sea is now inseparable from preparing for a potential crisis over Taiwan. The two flashpoints are increasingly linked in the minds of policymakers and military planners. Old maps are being redrawn, not just with ink, but with warships, concrete, and new realities on the ground. The region's maritime boundaries are shifting before our eyes. Ultimately, the struggle is as much about law and legitimacy as it is about raw power. The outcome will shape the future of the region for generations to come. The South China Sea is a global economic artery. 1/3 of maritime trade, worth trillions, passes through these waters. Any conflict here would shatter supply chains, spike energy prices, and threaten a global recession. For the Philippines, the risks are existential. Its economy depends on maritime trade and fishing grounds now threatened by China's actions. Filipino fishermen face harassment, and the nation's food security is at stake. A Taiwan conflict would devastate the Philippine economy. Remittances lost, investment fleeing, tourism collapsing. The country's strategic location is a double-edged sword. Opportunity in peace, vulnerability in war. China uses economic pressure as leverage, offering deals or threatening pain. Manila must navigate this minefield, balancing security and survival. The stakes are not just national, they're global. The Philippines' choices could ripple through the world economy. The cost of miscalculation is immense. Tensions are visible in escalating incidents at sea and in the air. Chinese warships and aircraft routinely probe Taiwan's defenses, while US and allied navies conduct freedom of navigation operations to challenge Beijing's claims. In Philippine waters, Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia harass Filipino vessels, especially around contested outposts like 2nd Thomas Shoal. These confrontations are increasingly frequent and dangerous, employing gray zone tactics, aggressive but just short of war. The risk of miscalculation is high. A single incident could spiral into crisis. Each standoff tests Philippine resolve and fuels public anger. The region is a tinderbox with military firepower from multiple nations packed into volatile waters. The world watches, wary of a spark that could ignite a larger conflict. The danger is real and growing. The Philippine government walks a diplomatic tightrope, balancing security, economics, and national pride amid US-China rivalry. The US alliance offers deterrence and support, but risks making the Philippines a target or a proxy. China, meanwhile, is a neighbor, trading partner, and potential threat. Alienating Beijing could bring economic pain and increased harassment. Manila must assert sovereignty without provoking conflict, keeping communication open with both superpowers. The government's rhetoric is carefully calibrated, firm on defending rights but emphasizing peaceful intentions. IDICA sites are framed as defensive, not offensive. This two-track approach, principled but pragmatic, is the heart of Manila's strategy. The path is narrow, and the stakes are high. Every move is scrutinized at home and abroad. The wire is getting thinner every day. The world is watching Manila's next step. The Philippines is no longer a bystander. It's a frontline state in the Indo-Pacific's defining crisis. Its choices now ripple across the region and the world. Allies and rivals alike watch Manila's every move as its stance shapes regional security. The government must build consensus, invest in defense, and communicate clearly. Its decisions have global consequences. The struggle is about more than territory. It's about the principles of international order. Will disputes be settled by law or by force? The Philippines is at the heart of this question. It's a heavy burden, but also an opportunity to stand as a pillar of a free and open system. The world is watching and waiting.